Welcome back, everybody, to Sovereign Artsakh, the place where this non-Armenian talks about all things Armenian. Why? Well, if you haven't been watching and listening, then my life's been changed by this fellow here, this Soghomon Tehlirian character. All right, let me just start off by reminding you that if you can register for this webinar with several prominent Armenian figures and historians. March, it's Monday after the weekend, the 100-year anniversary of the assassination of this fellow, Talat, by this fellow, Soghomon, the day that Soghomon's name entered the history books as a heroic figure. And I think 100 years is enough time for that suppression of this event. These guys both should be household names, and I am confident that my efforts will play some part in that becoming a reality. But if you are able, you can register for the Zoom session, and I think there's a Q&A that you may be eligible for if you get into the Zoom session, but it's also going to be, I think, live streamed on YouTube simultaneously. And then to answer a question of somebody in the commentary or in the comment section of the previous video, I think it was Eric B, that yes, this will be available to view on YouTube free of charge afterwards, after the processing. Like when you live stream on YouTube, you can watch it live, but then there's a period afterwards where it has to process and repost. I don't know if they'll do I imagine they'll do each segment separately, or they should. If they do the whole thing, it'll be a longer processing and a much longer video. Maybe they'll do it that way. Either way, it'll be available at some point after. I don't know if it'll be that day or the next day, but yes, you will be able to watch these individual lectures. I think it's just the 4 of them. All right, without further ado, I'm just going to read a few headlines. Where am I? Let's see. Read a few headlines and a couple articles. See if I can get through this quickly. Armenian health minister corpses are stored in special refrigerators. Armenian prosecutor general's office studying attorney's report regarding prime minister's assistant investigator. Armenian man's released to be processed in U.S. in coming days. I'm not going into detail of what all these are. I'm just reading some headlines. Some of you will be familiar with these things. Maybe these are updates for some of you. I am going to read a couple articles, but let me just read a couple headlines first. Karabakh president receives delegation of United Armenian Party led by Vahan Badassian. Armenian opposition party ex-chief of army's general staff might enter politics. Armenia government does not accept president's objections. Oh, okay. I know what this refers to. I'll read it in a minute. Armenia opposition MP on responding to Azerbaijan steps. In such cases, authorities petitioned to UN Security Council. I don't know. There's something I wanted to read. Where is it? Tragedy occurs in Armenia maternity hospital. Oh, that sounds like bad news. China intends to continue cooperation with WHO to clarify COVID-19 origin. Oh, I'm not going to comment on that. I have very strong opinions about that. Armenia Ministry of Defense receives China ambassador. Ooh, don't want to go on the China tangent right now. Armenian Defense Minister meets with leadership of Armed Forces Military Medical Department. Karabakh Internal Affairs Ministry. 3 more bodies found after search efforts at border positions in Varanda, Fizuli. That's one I wanted to. So, Varanda, in an article I'm about to read, these are a couple of cities. Fizuli, that's Varanda, I guess is the Armenian name. And Hadrut, these are former cities of Artsakh that have been taken over by Azerbaijan after the recent conflict. So, geographically, here we go, Armenia. So this region used to be part of Artsakh, and now it's in Azerbaijani hands. And I guess the Russian peacekeepers, maybe assisted by Armenian forces, have been searching these regions, and they found a couple bodies over here in this region. So geographically for your benefit. All right, let me read some of this. The latest on political crisis in Armenia. I'm not going to move on to COVID-19. Karabakh searches, I think it mentions it. But all right, this is updating on the conflict, the political environment in Armenia right now. The political seat of power is the parliament or the prime minister, and then the seat of military power obviously is the Ministry of Defense, and those two forces are in opposition, the executive branch and the military branch of the government. I mean, technically the military is supposed to be part of the executive branch, but they're at it. The military is wanting Pashinyan to resign, and Pashinyan's like, no, I want you out, the leader. Let's just read. The Armenian president the president is acting as a liaison. It appears that he's extended, and he's offered a meeting for all sides, or not just those two sides, but other political factions that are interested to meet on this Saturday. Let's see. The Armenian president has returned, along with his respective objections, the proposal of Prime Minister to appoint Artsakh as Chief of General Staff of the Armed Forces of Armenia, the president's office reports. In other words, Pashinyan has asked Gasparian, or has declared that Gasparian is to step down as the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces and to replace him with Artsakh, and the president, Sarkisian, has to sign it. He has not signed it. He's submitted objections, which in a headline earlier, the Prime Minister does not approve of those objections. So they're still at odds. Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan on Wednesday submitted a petition to President Sarkisian to appoint Artsakh to the aforesaid position. The two-week confrontation between the government and the armed forces entered a new phase on Wednesday. The Prime Minister's office announced that Onik Gasparian is legally dismissed from the post of Chief of General Staff of the Armed Forces following Gasparian's demand for PM Nikol Pashinyan's resignation. So it's these two power brokers butting heads. President Armen Sarkisian on Wednesday invited Pashinyan, the heads of the parliamentary factions, and the leaders of the Homeland Salvation Movement, which demands Pashinyan's resignation, to a meeting on Saturday to discuss the situation in Armenia and find mutually acceptable solutions to overcome the current crisis in the country. That'll be interesting because I'm not going to report until Monday, which is the anniversary of the assassination of Talat Pasha, a huge holiday, and that'll be the first time that I'm able to see or report on what came of this meeting on Saturday. That'll be interesting. As of Thursday afternoon, only a Bright Armenia political force responds to the president's invitation yet. The Administrative Court of Armenia has scheduled a hearing for April 29th on the case of Tiran Khachatryan, now former first Deputy Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces. Khachatryan demands to invalidate the president's decree according to which he was relieved of his aforesaid position. So this guy sounds like he's siding with Gasparian, the military. I think most of the military may be siding with Gasparian. The respondent in the case is President Armen Sarkisian himself. Also, Prime Minister's office and the Army General Staff are included in this case as third parties. The search operation for the bodies of the fallen soldiers and the missing people are being carried out by two rescue squads in the Hadrut and Varanda regions of Artsakh, Nagorno-Karabakh, which is what I just showed you on the map. As a result of this work being carried out since the ceasefire in November 2020, a total of 1,496 dead bodies, 6 of which on Wednesday, have been retrieved from the Artsakh territories now under the control of Azerbaijan. Turkish Foreign Minister, I don't need to read any more of this. Let's just move on. I'm going to read 2 more things. This one is of personal interest to me. Important archaeological materials discovered during renovation of Armenian kindergarten in Jerusalem. Here's a picture of the excavation site in Jerusalem. Father Baret Yaretzian, head of the real estate office of the Armenian Patriarchate of Jerusalem, informed that important archaeological materials have been discovered during the renovation of the Armenian kindergarten in Jerusalem, which need more detailed examination, Armen Press reports. One of the valuable findings is a large cross-drawn Kachkar, which dates back to the 12th century or earlier. It is a typical Armenian cross with the inscription, Lord Jesus, remember, below it. An Armenian flower cross is depicted, as well as great motifs. Let me just show it. So this, everybody who's Armenian knows exactly what this is. This is a part of, I'd say it's a part of your DNA. It's so ingrained. Armenia is a Christian nation, and for this, it delights my spirit and my soul when I see this, because I as a Christian, I'm looking at my own history here. This is an ancient carving. It's a piece of art, a work of art that honors Christ. There's a cross in the middle, and this is a prototypical of what the khachkars look like. Sometimes they're slightly different in their design, color of the stone that they're carved on, but this is an old one that was discovered in Jerusalem. The Armenians that have lived there or moved there to be closer to the Savior's home where he was crucified in Jerusalem. A mosaic was also discovered, judging by the style, probably from the Byzantine period. Copper coins from the Byzantine and or Mamluk period have also been found. These findings show the early Armenian presence and pilgrimage in Jerusalem. So here's part of the mosaic from the Byzantine era. This is ancient stuff. All right, the final article I'm going to read is some good news. It was revelatory to me. Boston mayor rescinds pro-Azeri Khojaly proclamation. I'm going to read this real quick, but this opened my eyes to a few things. Boston Mayor Marty Walsh has issued a statement of apology to the Armenian community of Boston and rescinded a recent proclamation declaring February 26 Khojaly Commemoration Day. Unfortunately, on our part, this was done without our typical review process, which includes conferring with all those potentially impacted, the apology letter reads. Following conversations with leaders of the Armenian American community, we realized that this proclamation has been hurtful to many of you. For the past week, members of Boston's Armenian community and abroad have been contacting the mayor's office, urging him to reverse the proclamation following a call to action from the Armenian National Committee of America Eastern Region. The ANC of Eastern Massachusetts would like to thank the mayor for acting on this quickly. It was very clear that it wasn't professionally vetted, said Chairman Dr. Aram Kaligian in an interview with the Armenian Weekly. The mayor has been a friend to the community, he continued. Indeed, Mayor Walsh, who is preparing for his transition to become the U.S. Secretary of Labor. Okay, so this is a mayor who's moving up into the current presidential administration. He's going to be in the cabinet, I guess. And so he has political aspirations, which, if he really is a friend of the Armenian community, could bode well. Could be a positive thing here. He has participated in several Armenian genocide commemorations, both at Massachusetts State House and Armenian Heritage Park, where he proclaimed that Armenians have made Boston a stronger city. Our goal when issuing a proclamation is to honor and celebrate the contributions of Bostonians from all walks of life and not to engage in international matters that can cause pain or divisiveness, the letter reads. This is not the first time that a municipal or state government has declared February 26 Khojaly Commemoration Day. Nearly identical proclamations were announced by the mayor of Portland, Maine, and the governor of Minnesota. Each of these declarations followed appeals by local Azerbaijani community organizations, including the Azerbaijani Society of Maine and the Azerbaijani Association of Minnesota. According to various Azerbaijani news sites, the Boston Proclamation was adopted on the initiative of the New England-based Azerbaijan Center. All three cite Human Rights Watch in marking the 29th anniversary of the largest massacre of the 1990s, the Khojaly Massacre. The ANC of Eastern Massachusetts underscores, however, that the proclamations are rife with distortions and exaggerations and erase the role of Azeri troops in the fighting around Khojaly. This is clearly part of a Turkish Azeri propaganda effort to reduce the significance of the Armenian genocide and crimes against humanity that the Turkish government has committed in the past, Kaligian said. It's also a way of reducing the culpability of the present Turkish and Azeri governments in their war crimes against Armenians. Middlesex Sheriff Peter Kutujian, who has known Mayor Walsh since 1996, during their time together in the state legislature, commends local activists for mobilizing and asking the mayor to reconsider the February 26 statement. This is a proud day for our community in Greater Boston. It is a proud day to be Armenian, said Sheriff Kutujian in an interview with the Weekly. We were recognized and we were respected. This is a good day for our community to show that people believe in us. All right, so it is politics. They're saying it wasn't vetted, and I'll take their word for it. It wasn't properly vetted, but I can't imagine somebody wasn't paying attention to this. But, politicians are supposed to cater to their constituents, those they represent, and Massachusetts has a huge Armenian presence, and there's an Azerbaijani presence there as well, and so this is a good move. It's a good thing. It's good news. All right, share and subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow, and have a good evening.